This is the Artist Entrepreneur Podcast. We are your hosts, Amanda Ritchie, Noah Dock, and me, Kerry Wee. We're three artists brought together by the love of circus and dance. Amanda from the world of Cirque du Soleil as an aerial soloist. Noah, our academic, and me from the commercial dance world. This is one of the greatest jobs in the world, but it comes with uncertainty. Each episode contains insight on how to pursue art-based businesses. We'll have a variety of guests and have lively weekly Discord. Tune in every week to hear our perspectives on the minefield that is the artist's way of life. Okay, so this was back in 2011, and I basically was in this position where we were dancing 8 hours a day and doing 4 hours of aerial a day, which by all stretches of imagination is way too much. So we started doing 5 days a week, but then, you know, as we go along, you have 6 weeks to put an entire world tour together, and the time just starts shortening and shortening, and the pressure on all the producers starts building and building. So they started having us work 6 days a week. And I've never been that tired in my life to the point where I couldn't eat enough to keep myself fed, and I couldn't sleep enough to recover. And I fell out of my aerial apparatus in rehearsal and broke my leg in half. So laying there on the floor, and I thought I didn't, at the beginning of an accident, there's a lot of shock, so you don't really feel the pain yet. I was just going to stand right back up. I was just going to stand right back up, and somebody told me, don't stand up. So my bone's sticking out of my leg. So I have a complete external situation. I've never been and will never be again as heartbroken as I was that day. Because I don't think I wanted something more than that.
Why were you heartbroken?
I was so heartbroken because I broke my leg, and there's just no getting around that. You have to
Why were you so heartbroken? Because of your leg?
Yeah, I broke my leg, and then I would have to spend the next year or two getting back to walking, and my best friend Meredith Ostrowski was on that tour with me, and so they went on. Taylor Swift. It's not the same as now. It wasn't as big, but she was still very big, just not worldwide icon like she is now. And I had to go home and recover and learn how to walk again, and learn how to dance again. And it took 2 years. And I mean, that job was long over by the time I got back to being a normal person. And so it really informed the rest of my life. And it took a really, really long time to emotionally kind of heal from it. But you know what they say, whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So it's part of my story. And getting back to aerial was so emotionally just a mental fuck. Sorry, Bean. Did you guys know that story?
Oh, aspects of it, but I didn't know the whole. I didn't know details, but you told me broad strokes.
I want to hear what happened next. You broke your leg. You're leaving. You have to go learn how to walk again. I mean, that's a whole.
Yeah.
There's more there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think we can, to just say, this is the thing that you wanted most, and then now you have to learn how to walk again, is the really short version of the story.
So Taylor Swift put me on her private jet with her to bring me back home, because if you have a huge surgery like that and you want to get on a plane, they have to do blood thinners, they have to do all this stuff so you don't clot in the air.
And Taylor Swift is not real in the world.
Yeah, Taylor Swift is real in the world. Don't put that in your mouth. She's sticking the end of a whatever in her mouth.
That was classic.
Taylor Swift is real in the world, and don't stick that in your mouth.
I was sticking my mouth up.
Because also I had this huge ankle, and there's no way to lift it up and put it elevate it on a commercial flight. So she did that. And I remember when we were landing and everybody's getting off the plane, and I just felt everything leave my body. This is the beginning. This is the end of this crazy experience where like everything up until that point was like, I was like the girl, like, Taylor Swift was at my hospital bedside. It's like, even though it was so tragic, there was a certain like energy around things, like center of attention type of situation.
Were you guys friends?
Yeah, kind of. She was my boss.
Are you guys not bosses anymore?
Correct. She's not my boss anymore.
Is she not your friend anymore?
Well, she's very famous, so she doesn't really keep a lot of friends around that are like Mama, like just a lovely dancer.
Good questions, Bean.
Yeah, very good questions. So I go home and throwing up because of the meds. Post-op is the worst, guys. Have you guys ever been in post-op?
Mm-hmm.
And what
Yeah,
color
the worst.
was your throw up?
The color of my throw up, it was gross, but it was probably brown. Yeah, yeah, I know, it's probably brown.
That's my favorite question I think Bean has asked.
I was told that I would be able
to be clear,
to come back to the tour when I was done healing. I like held on to that, but really any realistic person would have been able to tell me that the timing's not going to work out. Like the tour is only 6 months and this injury is going to take way longer. Get into my new doctor who is amazing. So I was at Cedars-Sinai in Los Angeles and I walk in there and I meet the people. And later he tells me that he walked out of the room and told the person that was consulting with him that I was never going to dance again, maybe not even walk correctly again, because of the devastation of the bones, of the shattering of the bones in the ankle bone. And so I was in physical therapy for 2 years. I had 2 more surgeries. And then, I know I'm skipping so many things. That's why I need you guys for questions. And then, the first gig that I got after this whole thing was done was another tour. I ended up being hired by Motley Crue to go out on tour for them for aerial and dance. And it was like a sandwich of the worst experience ever.
What was the recovery like? Like, how do you go? This is a question that I have for people who go through experiences like this. How do you go from doctor saying she'll never dance again and she might not walk properly to going on tour with Motley Crue? Like I don't think anybody can do that. I don't think that's something that, anybody who gets injured can just get back to where they were. I think that requires a certain amount of dedication and work and specific exercises and mentality and all of those things. So like what did you actually do? Because there's no way you just like, I just went to PT once a week or twice a week. Like there's no way.
No. So I number one, singular focus. And I was lucky to be able to, number one, because I was on workers' comp. So I don't have to worry about making money. Number two, I was at Cedars-Sinai. They have a program called a dance medicine, like therapy program focused on dancers, getting them back to the stage. And it's probably one of the only ones in the country, in the world. And I happen to live in the same city. And so the people that I had around me, they agreed with me that my standard of what I consider 100% isn't a normal person standard. It's an athlete standard. And they allowed me to continue. Like, I think maybe other people would have stopped physical therapy earlier on in the process. For me, they kept on going. I was doing point work in physical therapy. I was dancing in all types of shoes. They'd let me do it. Like, we would do it slow. But to answer your question, Noah, I was told this by the USC professor that I became very close friends with because she ran the program. And this is a conversation I had with her last year, so 10 years later. She said that she has never since then seen somebody work that hard to get back, which is surprising to me because to me, I would have done it again if I had to. But I guess that's what it is. I just worked really hard. I mean, I think harder than... Like, if they gave me an exercise 10 times a day, I'd probably do 100, 200, 300, Yeah. And I had casting directors tell me that I was the person, like the top 10 dance, like in this list, a short list of dancers that they would hire. And I was at that point in that dance industry, and it just like completely everything went away. Like I went away for 2 years and would have to rebuild all of it back.
Yeah.
And just like the stubbornness that I had to get back to where I was, to the level that I was at. And also with Ariel, like that job when I went on to Motley Crue, the set itself was pretty intimidating to me, not to an aerialist who hadn't just gone through all that. They hired me because I had a very specific skill set of dance and aerial, and they wanted my look. They liked the idea of like, you know, Asian girl, long hair, all this stuff. So I went into this tour and I replaced somebody. There was no rehearsal for me. I was just jumping into the spot, silks, bungee, and dancing in heels. We did a little bit of pole. And it was a 30-foot rig. I didn't have a chance to train on a 30-foot rig. So my first show was the first time that they didn't even let me rehearse the winch.
Jeez. No tech? No nothing?
No, because I was jumping. They were starting like a leg of the tour, and they just fired the other chick and hired me on. And we had technical rehearsal, but I didn't get to do it.
Talk about sink or swim.
Talk about what?
Sink or swim.
Oh, yeah.
Look at you, though. You swam.
Oh, I swam, and it was just so informative to everything else that I've ever tried to do afterwards, because Motley Crue is rock and roll. Australia is one of their biggest fan bases. So for that show, not all the American shows, but in Australia, in that first show, there were 70,000 people in the stadium. And the way we start the show, not just the number, but the show, is we get into an iron cross on silks, and they winch us up. And I had never teched the winch.
You're like, I hope this is not symbolic for this is not foreshadowing.
And I also didn't get, like, you're never gonna
shoulders, please stay attached.
And of course, when it happened, I realized that it wasn't jolty at all. It felt great. You know, and
but
after that, it felt great. But you don't know, right?
Don't know until you know. Yeah.
So I'm like just staring at my aerial partner across the thing, and they just shoot us up, and I'm like, fuck, sorry, Bean. So also, they can't do all the tech around the pyro. So what happens at the top of the show, as well as our winch, is pyro.
Of course.
Of course. So like,
You said two bad words.
I'm sorry. Apologies. Stop.
Did you at least have like a breakdown, like a conversation about what was going to happen?
I mean, it's like, okay, they're going to winch you up. There's going to be lights and pyro, and like, it's going to be loud.
Okay. But at least you had like something.
I mean, it's just visceral stuff though, because like I walk out to my point that I'm supposed to start underneath, and like the crowd is so loud that the whole stadium is shaking. And then the pyro starts going off before our cue, and little specks of pyro just land on my silk and sizzle down.
Oh my God.
So you're just like, okay.
That's terrifying.
So, and then the height, I didn't rehearse. And so also when I'm up there and I have cues, I have counts, and I'm just like, do the count. I'm not performing. I'm a robot doing the counts, because this first one I had to just get through. And we're synchro, me and my partner on the other silk. So what's intimidating is that the drummer is on a drum stand, and my point, if I look straight below, is not really, it's not a platform. I have to be pulled back to the platform to get off. So I'm over lighting and like steel. Great. And so I do the whole thing. It's fine. But the set was so intimidating to me because I didn't get a chance to like mentally get comfortable. So the next couple shows, if we were able to, because we weren't, you guys know, you're not always able to get on your point before the show because they're not ready with the stage and stuff. So I go up there and just sit in a full lock and like just make friends with like all the steel piping and stuff that was jetting out towards me so I could get over it. But it really, I definitely, that tour got me over whatever emotional fear I had about being in the air, because it was just a trial through fire. Like I had a couple, like a month or so of it, and I just was scared every single night.
Damn. Do you think, though, that if you had been eased into it, like properly, for lack of a better, that you would have had such a greater appreciation for overcoming? Or do you feel like, you know what I mean?
Oh goodness, I don't know. Like, we had a tech rehearsal that wasn't on stage. The only rehearsal that I got, they just pulled the fabrics up like in the middle of a stadium. And fabric's only 30 feet, but the stadium is hundreds. Mm-hmm. So that was worse actually, because
I was gonna say, so you're
hanging
swinging all around.
Yeah. There's like hundreds of feet of air above me. There's the fabric below me. The stadium's empty. So hundreds of feet out, all 360 around me is empty.
Good morning.
They gave us the bounciest fabrics you could ever,
You had to cover the height.
and like getting through rehearsal, and I'm trying to get up there. I'm like, every climb, I'm bouncing down 1 foot. I was like, this is not good. So, and then because I was covering somebody else's spot, it's all dudes on this crew. It's a motley crew. They're like tatted up dudes. So they're just waiting for you to break and to cry on set. You know what I'm saying? They're just waiting for you to be on the tour bus crying. So it just informed me. I think probably so much so that like I don't really get scared of stuff anymore because it was so scary. Like it was, I just think back and like there's nothing, like all those things put together are so like just built up to like a lot to overcome. And I don't really get scared anymore. I'm not even just talking about the air. I'm just talking about period, you know?
Yeah. That's kind of what I was trying to ask is, do you think that going through all of that, like you have that because now you're essentially not afraid of anything because you've been through the ringer. Like if you hadn't gone through that and you were eased back into the air, like properly, do you think that those hurdles would have come of anyway, or do you think like because you literally had it slammed into one one experience, do you think that over time like you would be the person that you are now if you hadn't gone through all of that?
I think about all the time if I hadn't fallen, because what also happened during that time is I got married to somebody that I might not have gotten married to. He got me through that injury. He got me through that recovery. And then it went horribly bad later on. And then we got divorced. But I don't know if that relationship would have survived the 6 months of tour. And I think about that all the time because that part of my life was so hard for so many reasons. And it's made me the person I am. But do you guys ever think to yourself like, or I could just have had an easier time? Wouldn't that have been great?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like I could have avoided breaking my leg in half, taking a 2-year break from the top arc of my dance career. I could have avoided marrying somebody who is not my fit. But then I'm here and I have her and I have a strength and a confidence that is so ingrained now that I can't argue with that. I don't know. What are your thoughts about that? What do you think?
I think about that all the time. This isn't necessarily a mental health podcast, but I, as somebody who has like struggled with mental health, there's a question that I since I was a kid, I've asked myself this, and I ask other people this too. Like, if you're happy with where you are right now, or if you're happy is a difficult word nowadays, but if you're content, if you're satisfied, if you feel good with where you are right now, the only way that you could have gotten to where you are right now is by everything that has happened to you thus far. The good, the bad, the ugly, the wonderful, everything. If you're satisfied with where you are right now, then yeah, I'm sure there's alternate realities where you didn't break your leg or, you made a different decision or whatever it might be, but that's not what happened in this reality. And as long as you're happy, satisfied, whatever it is with today, then that's the way it was supposed to be. Then it's good that it happened that way. The mental health side of it is, if you're not happy with it, okay, how do you become happy? How do you work through that? How do you get to a place where you can feel that way, and et cetera? Because I mean, I think everybody has things in their life that they think to themselves, man, what if it didn't happen this way? I think yours is a particularly interesting one because it's not necessarily a regret. Like, there's nothing you could have done to change the fact that you broke your leg. Like that.
Yes.
That happened.
Accident. It happened. Yep.
It wasn't like, I had the choice to either go on tour with Taylor Swift or not go on tour with Taylor Swift. And I decided to do it, and this is what happened. That's not really the conversation. It was just like, this is a thing that happened. It's the way it is. It was out of your control, and you took what you could control, and you made a life out of it. You went on tour you went on this next tour. You now have a bean. You live in Texas. You, like, all of those things came out of this thing that you didn't have control over by taking whatever control you needed to over your next steps.
So Noah, to answer your earlier question a little bit more specific, I think that's the sauce. I did the only thing I could control, which was PT.
Right.
So these people are like, oh my God, I've never seen somebody work so hard. And like, my therapist probably like, she's neurotic. Like, that's why she's working so hard, because she just doesn't know what else to do. Tell me what you guys think about this. Did it make me more or less risk averse? And I want to say it kind of made me a little bit of both in two different ways. As an aerial teacher, every single time somebody falls in my class, I think it makes me a little bit more conservative. But in life, it made me not worry about risk. When it kind of like, oh, do I do this new business venture, or do I step out of my comfort zone and do this new thing? That stuff, I became fearless.
You're personally able to take risk, but as a teacher, you don't want to see people go through what you went through, and that could be on a multitude of levels. A, you don't want to see people suffer. B, maybe you know how hard it is, and not a lot of people are willing to do that. Maybe it's that you don't want to deal with other people going through that same thing that you went through. There's a multitude of reasons that could be. I think the fact that you're conservative when it comes to other people, but a lot more lenient with yourself, makes a lot of sense.
I agree. Do you find that you're more conservative in the air with yourself now?
Yes, but I feel like that might have just been me getting older and like not wanting to do like the crazy drops, and like not being like so excited about it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's more about me teaching and like something happening on my watch.
Yeah, that's fair and valid, especially because you've seen the darkest side. Well, maybe not the darkest side. No, not
the darkest. I think actually Cirque du Soleil has seen a lot of dark stuff over the years.
Yeah.
I don't know, Amanda. What's your outlook on all of this when it comes to risk?
Well, it's interesting because what Noah was saying, like, your experiences, you don't necessarily have a regret at the end of it. I have a similar, very different, because we're very different things, but similar in the sense of having an accident, having it end my career through my own volition. I decided to after that accident. But then 10 years or so later, slight regret of that decision to stop. So in my sense, I do have a slight regret. But I think it's really cool hearing your story and going through all of those things, that you were able to have a travesty, overcome it, and then you got to do all the crazy things, have your mind and body like shaken out of God knows what, and then you've overcome that. So it's just like all these hurdles of overcoming, and you've ended up on top, which is really cool.
Well, for me also, it was kind of like, to me, it was only the universe that gave me a tour right after that, because there's another version of the story where a dancer gets hurt on a big tour and never gets another big gig again.
Totally, but that's not your version.
No, absolutely not. But I'm just saying that, like, it was literally the universe was like, you had a tough couple of years here. Here's a gimme, you know, because it was a phone call. And you could also say that it was all my relationship building and stuff beforehand and being really like trustworthy on a job, that they knew I could pull it off. Like, they know I can jump in to another person's spot, no tech, no rehearsal, blah, 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 and I'm fine.
Yeah, you had all of those. Plus, you had the resilience to overcome
the fear that I had.
Yeah, not just that, but like a career-shattering injury, potentially.
Potentially. Yeah, there was one moment where like my big toe wouldn't respond to my nerves.
Oh my God, just from that, I don't know if you guys ever seen Kill Bill.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Move your big toe. Wiggle your toe.
Okay, so I was told, I was like, after some of the exercises I brought, you know, I went back to the doctor. I was like, this toe is not responding to me. And he's like, you might have severed the nerve. You need to go home and see if you can wake it up. And I was like, copy that. I stared at my toe and got it to wiggle and got it to wiggle and got it to wiggle. And I think it was just maybe scarring on the nerve or inflammation of the tissues around it. Something like that. Like, they even sent me to like the foot specialist because it was in my foot. The injury was above the part where, you know, like my injury was my ankle and my leg. It wasn't my toe. So like there was something down the line that wasn't responding. And basically I got it to wake up, or else I wouldn't ever be able to point my toes again. Like, how would you dance if you can't point your toe? Like, you can wear a shoe.
Yeah. People do it all the time, but I understand having really beautiful feet, but I mean, not the best for sure. For professional, for gig, for jobs, not the best.
Yeah. But yeah, you stuff it in a shoe and you can't really tell. But I think back to it and I'm so grateful for it. But like, oh my God, you know, definitely, like, you're just like, did this have to happen? And then anyways, that's a story that I like to tell about myself because it, I don't know, it tells a lot about who I am and maybe the reasons why I just keep on pushing. Because, you know, for this podcast, like, I was thinking to myself, like, what is my goal with this podcast? And, you know, it can be different than you guys' goals. But to me, it's a lot of the performer getting, like, making their second chapter or their third chapter as good or even better than their performance chapter. Because I feel like a lot of people think that that's the best chapter, and it doesn't have to be.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one.
Well, I never had that chapter. I was never interested in that chapter. So I agree with that completely.
But that's also really cool because you have such a unique story and experiences, you know, without.
I was thinking about I was trying to think of a moment that I had that, you know, I really wish didn't have to do that. Like, I really, like that moment of like, really, man, would have been a lot better if we didn't have that part in there. My last show before I graduated college. So the last show that we produced before really taking our company to New York City. And it's still my favorite show I've ever made. Well, I don't know if it's my favorite show, but I think it's the best show I ever wrote. And in the show, we had projection mapping. The show was about a classic vaudevillian circus from 1950s. I had taken clips from TV and film and from the 1950s. I had made all this audio and sound and everything from this era. And we were going to projection map everything onto these crates from World War II and onto the circus tent and all this stuff. And it was a big part of the show. And I had a lighting designer who, from day one, was like, this is no problem. And we had a really short tech. We had like, I think it was 4 or 5 days, something like that. It was a very short tech. And the projections kept not working. It just kept not happening. You know, the day after dress rehearsal, they still didn't work. And so me, the lighting designer, and my stage manager and partner in crime stayed in that space till 5 a.m. I rewrote the show, recut all of the music, redid all of the audio, and redid all of the videos in a couple of hours. So I shoved my like 12 months of work into a couple hours, scheduled a rehearsal. I only could have an hour to redo everything. This was like the reality. This was just it. Like we were going to have to do a completely different show. Crew call, I think, was 3:00. Cast call was 4. Show was at 7. I think about 20 minutes before the cast call, he got it working. Just barely. Just barely enough to make it through.
He got it working, like the part that for your new version, not
for the old version.
Old version.
What?
That's so messed up.
That is so effed up.
And so we did the show.
Which version?
We did the original version.
Oh my god!
And there were 2 shows where not everything worked, but you know we pushed through like it was a normal, just technical issue. But yeah, it was crazy. It was definitely one of those moments afterwards that I was like, I really wish I didn't have to do all that. Yeah. It would have been really nice to not have to, rewrite and re-edit and redo the audio. And that's my one like non-performance that came to mind of rewriting, re-editing, re-sound designing a production the day of a show.
Noah, what did that teach you as a director?
I think the thing that I took away as a director for my entire life has been that director is the wrong credit. You're just a professional problem solver. That's it. That's what you are. And if you just look at everything as a problem, everything is a problem. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad problem. It's just a problem to be solved. It can be a scene in a play. It can be a scenic design. It can be sound. It can be tech going wrong. It can be whatever it is. Like you are just a problem solver. And that is everything from deciding how the stage should look, from a visual side, to something has actually gone wrong. And be flexible. Be ready to change things. Be able to change things. Because the idea that the show must go on, yeah, okay, the show must go on. But like, it's up to you to make it go on. There's a lot of people who I think are unwilling to budge on certain things and who are unable to do the work. And I did not have to call a sound designer to fix it. I did not have to call a video designer to fix it. I did not have to call the scenic, like I fixed it.
So you were the production. You weren't just the director. You were the entire production.
I had to do everything. And I had a really great partner who was with me on it. And, my cast was amazing. They were people I've worked with for years. And so I knew that they could handle it, but it was, yeah. There's so many lessons I can glean from it, but it's, yeah, be a problem solver and be okay with change.
What did you take from it? What do you feel like your skill set is now because of something like that? And I'm sure many situations where you had to problem solve and it was that stressful.
Well, that I worked on that production insanely hard. It was one of those that I had a full vision for. I spent my roommate made me like a tinfoil hat at one point when I was editing all of this, like originally when I was writing the show, because he would just like hear what was going on in my room. And I would just like, I went through hundreds of hours of videos from the 1950s and 1940s to get like, so like, I had World War II video going on in audio, and he was like, what the hell are you listening to? Like, are you looking for conspiracy theories? Like, what's happening? And like, it just, the amount of work that I had to put into it. And it was a production that was so layered in terms of its themes, in terms of its narrative, in terms of all those things. And it taught me the skills in order to put something like that together, which a lot of people, in my opinion, don't do when they create work nowadays. They don't put in the work to like really dive deep into what they're making. The idea that this show was a story of a classic vaudevillian circus tent in the early 1950s. That is like the simplest way of putting it. Like, it was about classic circus. It was about television. It was about, the end of vaudeville. It was about the end of World War II. It was about the atom bomb. It was about entertainment and radio and our understanding of how we know that. And it was all based around Pandora's box. That was the original like storyline of Pandora's box. And I had to go into all of those things. We had to do a deep dive into all those things. There was not just like, oh, we'll like study this a little bit. Oh, we'll be inspired by this. It was like, no, we're going to do all of it completely. And my notes and books and things that I read for it was intense. And so I think, I don't know, the piece, what I take with me now is like, do your homework. Like, really do your homework.
Do you have that on video? I would love to see it.
I would love to show it to you.
I would really love to see that show.
It was a great show. It was called VOD. It was spelled VOD. Sounds like vaudeville. And VOD stands for two things: video on demand, which is what we were doing in that time. We were going away from radio, away from live performance, and on to television and movies. And then velocity of detonation, which is a term that goes towards the atom bomb and war and explosive devices.
Wow.
And it was rooted in all of those three things.
You know how we were talking last time about the cushy contract or like the corporations and things, because usually when somebody has that type of big project, you have departments to do all of those things, whereas you're just the sole creator of it. So you had a team, but you were dove into that because you had the freedom to be creative, and you had, not everybody does that. Yeah. You're a special unicorn in that way, which is needed. Do you think that a lot of people come with the corporation mind when they're building shows of just that, here's the show, that's as far as we're going to take it, everybody else do the rest?
I think it depends on the industry. In all honesty, I haven't seen it a lot in the dance world. I think in the dance world, people come with like, we have no resources. Like, we just have to do it. I think film and theater is a little bit different. I noticed that like a lot of people who come from those backgrounds, like they write a script and they go, okay, great. Now I need to find a director. Now I need to find a scenic designer. Now I need to find this, and like hand over this script to them, as opposed to like, okay, I wrote the script. Now I need to learn how to direct, or now I need to learn how to do music engineering or sound design. Or I think that's a lot less
Common.
common.
Yeah.
That being said, like, I did have a great team. I did have amazing people that I worked with. My partner that I worked with most of our shows on, I always described us as like, I would write the show, I would create the thing, and then I would give it to him and he would blow it up with a stick of dynamite. And then it was my job to like pick up the pieces and then to make a new thing out of it. And then he would blow it up again. And then we do like, it would be that like give and take. And so I think the biggest things for me, yes, I did a lot of it myself. And when it comes to like being a creator, I feel like when I was writing out programs, it was like, don't make Noah choreographer, director, writer. Like, that was stupid. I was just like, creator, done. It encompasses whatever audiences need to have. But the ability to get feedback and to take feedback from people that I disagreed with and agreed with was imperative. I needed that. I needed other people's opinions and other people's views on the work that I was creating. And I needed other people's artistic abilities. My scenic designer was amazing. He could do no wrong. I would give him an idea. He would bring me a drawing and my jaw would hit the floor. Like, I had no idea how he was so brilliant. My favorite story about working with another person and working with a team is the first show I ever did. I had an idea for a scene. The lighting was blue. It was a sear wheel piece. It was in the sky. I had this beautiful, beautiful image for it. And from day one, I told him, this scene is blue. I want the lights to be blue. I want this. And we showed up to tech. And my lighting designer looks at me and goes, so I was thinking white. And I went, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, what have we been talking about for the last 8 months? Like, what are you talking? Like, I was so, and he just goes, let me show it to you. And fuck if he wasn't right. He was so right. Blue was terrible. And white was perfect. It was amazing. And that was a great experience of like, trust the people you work with. Like, trust that you cannot do everything, that you do not know everything, and that other people's artistic abilities are so imperative in creating work. And that is another piece as a director that like I've taken probably to an extreme degree, which is that I don't like anything I make. And so I love having a team. I love having other designers because I haven't made it. They've made it. And I get to love what they've made with an image that I've given them. And that's magic to me. So yes, creator, there's a lot to that, and there's a lot of pressure on that, and you do a lot. But at the same time, I'm nothing without feedback, and I'm nothing without the designers and people that I've worked with, because I can't do any of it alone. There's no way. It just, I can do a lot alone, but there's a point where I'm not interested. Like, if I do it all myself, I'll just hate it, and it'll never go anywhere.
Noah, if you had to do that whole situation over again, would you do it the same?
You mean the tech experience?
No, the whole show.
If I had to go back into the past and do that show again, yes, I would do it the same. But the thing that I say now, like I've always said this, as soon as my show closes, I know everything I want to do differently. and I know everything I want to change. And so I have a version of this show that is much more expensive, that is much more magical, fantastic. And I mean, I've always dreamt of redoing the show to the extent that I have wanted it to be. And yeah, my dream is one day to be able to do that for sure. Because I think it's an amazing show. I think it's immensely human. I think now is a very good time for that kind of show.
I think you should do it, and then we should have a whole podcast on funding and how you got the money.
It's gonna be a lot of money.
Still, I think it's something really cool to pursue.
If you guys would do me this favor and just like write or text me or text us like what your personal, like either stated to the audience or just keep it private, like goals for this podcast.
Okay.
Personal goal. Noah's like, because you guys told me I had to.
My personal goal for this podcast is to show up because I've been told I have to.
You have no choice.
I don't know. I would say that my goal for this podcast is to have some reflection on experience, on my experience, on our collective experience, and I think to have really good conversations. I think that my takeaway in these last few weeks, with a few different activities that I've been a part of, has been like, I think there's a internal craving, not only from myself but from other people, to like have discourse about artistic experience and life experience as artists. And I think that's my goal, is to have those conversations with the three of us, because I think we have very different journeys. We've had very different journeys. We will continue to have different journeys. But we share similar passions. We share similar interests. We share similar views and mindsets on it. I think it's amazing that, like, in a conversation about performance, just in this 1 hour, Kerry, you did all the prep for this massive tour. You didn't go on that tour, but you went on a shorter tour. You had this recovery experience. Amanda, you fought and worked for being this performance person and being with Cirque, and then you were there for years, and you were part of the golden handcuffs, and discovering how much you loved it, how much you hated it, how you were in those shorter term performances, and then you were in this long-term four walls corporate world. And I was not a performer, but I have been I've been in the corporate space, I've been in the non-corporate space, I have a perspective of both, and working with performers who I've advised, who want to be on tour, who don't want to be on tour, who've gone through ups, who've gone through downs, and I went through all those experiences from the other side of it as well. When you were talking about how you are with your students versus how you are with yourself, risk. I mean, we should do a whole episode on risk and facing your fears and fear in general, like that. That's the whole reason I started doing circus. I was thinking about when I had one of my performers fall, and she got injured, and it was like one of the worst days of my life. And it wasn't that bad. She healed. She was fine. She performed in that same show. Oh my God, the nightmares, the psychological effects, and like it was my biggest fear. And then it happened, like right in front of me. Totally. I get it. 3 different perspectives.
Similar. I love that we're very different, all 3 of us, but we have commonalities between us, and the common things that we share kind of drive us. And so I'm very excited, and my goal is to have those conversations, but also to grow into the next phase, because I'm in the next phase, but there's another phase peeking around the corner. And so, like, I'd love to see the growth, not only with what we can, have a conversation about and pick apart different subjects like fear, like, diversity and adversity and performance and all of that good stuff. But life outside of performance, life outside of that whole world. And if there is a life outside of it for somebody who has spent their entire life only doing that, that's also something that I'm really excited to like dive into conversationally, the 3 of us.
Noah and Amanda, you guys touched on a lot of my goals for this because I have multiple, but the one that stands out that's really selfish is that about 5 years ago, I can say that I feel like I found my voice in my life. And ever since then, I wanted to megaphone it. I want to megaphone it as much as I can, because I spent the first however many years not having the skill set, confidence to use my voice. And now that I found it, I want to use it. And I want to use it in so many different ways. Like I have the expecting aerialist, but that is so specific. We're talking about motherhood. We're talking about prenatal, postpartum. It's so topic based. And then, I have greener grass, which is the absolute opposite. We talk about anything and everything, but really my passions lie within my craft. The fact that I get to like get on with you guys on a Zoom and just like nerd out on this stuff, that sounds really fun to me. Like super fun. And then we get to share it. So that's my selfish goal.
It's also really cool because we're all very different, but I look up to you guys, and like you guys we're so different, but like you're so much better than me in X, Y, and Z, and you're so much better than me in X, Y, and Z. And to surround yourself with people who you look up to, who are better than you.
That's very that impressed me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Which are the 2 of you. Like it's really cool that I get to be surrounded, and like we have this as a weekly thing that I can fuel my own life with. It's really cool. I really like it. I'm involved. I'm into it.
That's really oh my God, that's so sweet. Like I look up to you guys so much, and I'm so glad like that we have this wonderful friendship, and like you guys, I love you both. you both are amazing, and I'm just like sort of here.
Bye.
No. Hi, Bean.
Bye.
Hi, Bean.
Hi, Bean. Messages from Bean.
That wasn't a hi. That was a bye.
Oh, that was a bye. Oh, okay. No messages from Bean.
Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find Amanda Ritchie at Grounded in Flight on Instagram, and at Noah Doc on Instagram, as well as Red Flags app. And me, Kerry Wee, you can find at wrapyourheadaroundsilks.com. Thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you. We have so much more coming at you, including guests that are in this art world, that are blazing their way through new businesses, and just more banter from us. Thank you for listening. This is The Artist Entrepreneur.